and there was always music playing, but the first one that I actually liked was Heartbreak Hotel by Elvis. My older brother brought it in one day, and I thought, well, that's different, because we're from an Irish family, and so all I've heard is pissing Irish music, which is good. But when I heard Elvis, that was sort of, oh yeah, this is good. And then the first record I bought was Dizzy Gillespie LP, and so I used to like that. And then the first massive band that I loved was the Beatles. Although the first band that I'd heard that had accents like we had, because they were from Liverpool and we were from Birmingham. Up until then, all the English rockers used to try and sound American. The Beatles were the first ones that sounded like, that didn't try and lose their accents. So that appealed to me. Just the haircuts and everything, they were just so different, and the music was fantastic. And from then on, I wanted to be a Beatle. Yeah, my middle brother liked the Beatles as well, and he had a job, so he used to buy the records, and I used to play them. And eventually, this kid at school had an acoustic guitar, and I bought it off him for 50 pence, which is like less than $1. And it only had 2 strings on it, but I used to play all the melodies of the Beatles songs on the 2 strings. Well, it took me 2 years to realise that if you put if you put your finger on the fretboard, you change the notes. It took me 2 years to realise that. And once I realised that, I just started playing all the Beatles melodies on the 2 strings. Then after that, I was getting good on just playing 2 strings, and my oldest brother bought me an actual 6-string acoustic guitar for £8, which was about $12. And that's when I really seriously started playing guitar. There was this book called Bert Wooden's Playing a Day book, and everybody bought it. Eric Clapton bought it. Everybody in England that plays guitar bought Bert Wooden's Playing a Day book, and learned chord shapes and everything, and then eventually figured out how to play Beatles songs and became a rhythm guitarist. And me and a friend at school started a band, school band, called The Rooms, and we used to play at like local birthday parties and I think one wedding, but we were really crap. And by that time I'd switched to a electric guitar called Hofner Colorama, and a Selma amp, and used to play Beatles and Kinks and Stones, that kind of stuff. Everywhere that we got booked, we only got booked once because we were so bad. We used to dress up in all this caftan stuff, hippie stuff, and paint our faces and everything, and do this stupid stage show. So we got thrown out of everywhere that we played. I mean, sometimes we actually got through a whole set without being thrown off. And I think the singer left, and I was looking for a singer, and I saw this advert for a guy called Ozzy Zigg, and the magic words "has own PA." So I went round to Ozzy Zigg's house, and this skinhead answered the door, and I was like, oh my god, what's this? Because my hair was like right down here by this time. There's Ozzy with his skinhead hair. Skinhead hair. His baldy head. And the next day, oh no, he wasn't in at the time. His sister answered the door, and I says, "Is Ozzy Zigg?" And she says, "No, he's out at the moment." So then the next day, there's a knock on the door of my house, and I open the door, and there's this skinhead, and it was Ozzy, and he had chimney brush over his shoulder, and no shoes on, and a shoe on a dog leash, and I was like, what the hell was this guy? So we gave him an audition, and he was good. So me and him carried on with this band, which was by this time called the Rare Breed, because nobody booked the rooms because we were so bad. So we changed the name to the Rare Breed. We did a couple of gigs, and Ozzy didn't really like what we were doing, and neither did I by that time. The guitarist and the drummer weren't interested in going professional, and me and Ozzy wanted to. Well, I got fired from work, so I was sort of by accident accidentally professional. So even though we weren't getting paid anything, me and Ozzy decided to leave the band and try and find somebody else. So he got together with this sax player and this slide guitarist, who are Ozzy's mates, but we needed a drummer and a lead guitarist. So Ozzy says, well, I know this guy that I used to go to school with, and he's just come back from, he's just been busted for drugs up in the north of England. He's come back home now. So we went round to Tony's house, and Bill Ward was there, and he says, we're looking for a drummer. And oh, that's right, we were looking for a drummer but not a guitarist. And Bill said, I'll come and play with you, but you got to have Tony as well. So Bill says, I'll come along if Tony goes along. So he says, all right, yeah. And we got together, did this, rehearsed for a week, did 18 12-bar blues numbers in a week. And I decided, well, there was a slide guitarist, a lead guitarist, so they don't need a rhythm guitarist, so I'm going to switch to bass. So I tuned down my Fender Telecaster guitar at the time and used it as a bass, and that's when I switched to bass. And I didn't actually play a bass on stage until we were on the way to our first gig. I'd never played a bass before, and on the way to the gig we passed our old bass player's house, and I borrowed his bass, and that night, that was the first time on stage I'd ever played a bass. It was terrible. I mean, sort of, the crowd, we didn't really go down very well. In fact, these two guys came around and said, get rid of that singer, to Tony, in front of me and Ozzy, and said, get rid of that singer, and that bass player's terrible. And I thought, oh, thanks a lot. And then we got beaten up after by these two big bloody blokes, and that was it for welcome to the Polka Talk Blues Band. Then we realised the sax player could only play Take 5 by Stan Getz. That's all he could play on sax. So every sax solo that he'd do, he'd play the same solo for 18 songs, and so we knew that he had to go. And Tony refused to play with the slide guitarist, and so we just became a four-piece. Changed the name to Earth, and I bought a proper Fender bass, and that was it. We went from there. Earth was about a year, and we were being misbooked because there was another Earth who were a pop band, and we'd turn up at these gigs and there was all these like wedding kind of people expecting to hear all these pop songs, and we were playing 12-bar blues and Hendrix stuff and Cream stuff and all that kind of thing. And this one gig, the guy says, you know, we obviously booked the wrong band. get off and leave. This was after the third song. So I thought, well, it's time to change the name of the band, and we'd just written Black Sabbath, the song, and I said, why don't we call the band Black Sabbath? And everybody thought that was a good name, so we did.